Greetings, summoners, and welcome to the first episode of Inside the Contest. I'm Mike, your community manager, and your host for this brand new piece. Our goal with Inside the Contest is to give you all a peek behind the curtain of Marvel Contest of Champions. We want to offer you more information on what's to come, deeper insights into the making of the contest, and give you all exclusive news and first looks at upcoming champions and events. So let's get started by kicking it over to Creative Director Gabe Frazera for a look at new alternate reality versions of Morningstar and Maestro. Gabe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, last time we checked in with Guillotine and Morningstar, the spirit of Queen Hassan had left the Iron Maiden and was now inhabiting the body of Guillotine 2099. So, just who is Purgatory?
In a nutshell, Purgatory is an alternate reality version of Queen Hassan in a reality where she actually killed Guillotine and took her blade away from her. And that sends her in a very dark path where she unveils the true nature of the demon blade. The blade becomes the original self, right? Becomes that flaming demon spine that was originally created. And her powers are much bigger, and she also becomes this demonic version of herself. So that's basically what Purgatory is.
And the Overseer is an alternate reality version of the Maestro. What's his story?
The Overseer is also a what-if character. Is an alternate version of the Maestro. Is a younger version of the Maestro before he became the Maestro that people know from the comics and also from our game, Contest of Champions. He's younger, so he's not quite good. He's not quite the Hulk anymore, and he's not quite the full-on Maestro. He's still on that path, becoming that tyrant that people know. So he's in between. He's in a gray area. He has some bad traits, but he's not completely crazy like the Maestro of the future is. So he still has a choice of maybe becoming more of a hero instead of becoming a big villain.
As alternate reality versions of Morningstar and Maestro, how do the stories of these two characters affect those stories of the originals within the battle realm?
Well, it's interesting because Contest of Champions has a lot of alternate reality versions of the characters already running around. But in this case, we wanted to tell a story that the original characters might be confronted with very different versions of themselves. Like in case of Queen Hassan, she sees herself going to the path of good, but she's confronted by a fully dark, evil version of herself. So what kind of stories, what kind of confrontation that could create? I think there's a very interesting possibilities even to the other champions that met the other versions of these new characters already in the contest. How they're gonna react, seeing the Overseer, which is a version of the Maestro, a person that they hate because he enslaved them for so many years. How they're gonna react with this version that is not quite bad and it might be even good. So that's what we want to do, to tell interesting stories in the world.
Now, is there anything else you want to share about these two characters or any other stories being told in the battle realm?
Well, we always have new stories to tell. We're always very happy to work with Marvel and creating new characters for the Marvel universe, because we're fans at heart, and it's a big privilege to be working with them and being able to create those new characters. They are part of the Marvel universe officially, and they go through this crazy process of approvals. And, when Marvel actually says this character can be a new character in the Marvel universe, it's for real, right? So we feel very happy and proud that some of our work is being recognized, not only as a video game that people love, but also as being a real part of the Marvel universe that can be explored by comics or movies or toys or whatever, because it makes us feel really, really good.
Thanks for joining us, Gabe.
Thank you. See you around.
Last year, tens of thousands of summoners from all over the world battled it out to prove that they had what it takes to be crowned the best summoner in the contest. After 3 grueling qualifier rounds, 8 summoners moved on to represent Europe and Russia, Asia and Oceania, and the Americas in the semi-finals. But only 1 summoner from each region could move on to the next round. After putting their skills and knowledge to the test, our 3 finalists went head to head in an attempt to best their opponents. The competition was fierce, but 1 summoner stood victorious and claimed the title of the first ever International Summoner Showdown champion. Now, with summer on the horizon, it's time to look ahead and start the search for the next top summoner. We're happy to announce that the 3rd annual Summoner Showdown tournament starts this summer. Like last year, starting in mid-July, you can compete in 3 qualifier quests. These single fight quests resurrect some old enemies from the past and will put you to the test. However, unlike last year, you'll only have a limited number of tries each week to record your record-setting time. The fastest summoners in each region will go on to the semi-finals, competing for their spot in the final match to find out who was the top summoner in Marvel Contest of Champions. Now, you might be asking, what's it like to be the best summoner in the contest? Who would know that better than last year's winner? I sat down with Angerdanger, the 2020 Summoner Showdown champion, to catch up. Angerdanger, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
Summoner Showdown 2020 champion, how has your life changed since then?
My life really hasn't changed that much, to be honest. I just have a massive trophy in my room now.
Now, do you have any advice for those who want to come for your title this year?
My advice for those going for the title would be to don't just follow the meta, but try to create your own tactics and strategies.
2021 Summoner Showdown, do you plan on defending the title? Is Angerdanger going to be both the first International Summoner Showdown winner as well as the first 2-time winner?
That would be pretty cool. I'm definitely going to try, but even qualifying is pretty hard, so not too confident, but I'll definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's tens of thousands of summoners trying out, but I would say that you're probably a little bit more experienced and, you might have a little bit of an edge there. So which champion did you win from the 2020 Summoner Showdown, and how have they played into your roster?
The champ I won was Ghost. She's definitely been a big part of my roster. She's had the biggest impact out of all champions, and I use her even for Act 7 Legend Run, and she was the MVP.
All right, one last question for you. 2021 champs released so far. Who's your favorite?
My pick would be Shang-Chi, because I really like his playstyle, and he's got those really satisfying crits. Also, Mr. Negative is pretty cool, but I think right now my choice would be Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi is a favorite of our friend Dave. He likes to say he has those big yellow numbers. Thank you for joining us today, Angerdanger.
Yeah, no worries, I was happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us, Angerdanger. Will you be competing in this year's Summoner Showdown? Prepare to prove yourself against the best that the contest has to offer. Head over to summonershowdown.com for details, and stay tuned for Marvel's official announcement in the coming weeks. Last November, for the first time ever, we put the power to choose a new edition of the contest in your hands. After the votes were counted and the dust settled, Hercules emerged as the victor. Dorky Diggity Dave's been following the development of Hercules from the first sketches all the way through to the finishing touches. I caught up with Dave to get the inside scoop on all the action. Hey Dave, super excited to have you on the show today.
Excited to be here, and excited to give you a little more of an inside scoop on Summoner's Choice.
Speaking of Summoner's Choice, how's Hercules coming along?
Things are going really well with Hercules. We've already done our concept episode into the 3D modeling and right into animation. Coming up next is going to be the character design, where we find out how abilities are made, and then we're going to move right into VFX, which I hear is Hype City, character art QA, and the balance pass. Not only that, but the sound effects to complete the entire package, and everything is looking pretty marvelous.
So players voted for Hercules. They're really looking forward to him. What can you tell us about this champion?
Well, first things first, he's a very unique champion, especially for the Cosmic class. He's got a lot of tricks in his bag, and I really love his reachability and dash. I think a lot of people are going to have fun with that, especially how far you can intercept with heavy attacks, but don't want to spoil too much on that front. And I think across the community, from beginners all the way to experts, there's something to love about him, and he's going to be very useful in a lot of content.
When you say unique for the Cosmic class, what are we talking about there?
Well, I don't think that there's a lot of other Cosmic champions that have the same type of build-up in their kit that Hercules does, and quite the same payoff, which I think a lot of people are going to enjoy.
Now, this is the first time you've gotten to follow along with the creation of a champ from beginning to end. Is there anything that surprised you or really stood out throughout this process?
Oh, for sure. The fact that there are so many solo acts in this ensemble cast of teamwork and collaboration, which I know is an oxymoron in itself, but let me explain a little bit. Because when we go into things like the modeling phase, which you saw in episode 2, that's all one person. The modeling, the texturing, the rigs, the skeleton, all that stuff, which blew me away in itself. But then you send it over to an animator. Not animators, there's an animator there. And you would think it was motion capture just because the movements are one-to-one so perfectly. But it's really just an amazing talent behind Cam, who animated Hercules. And you find out that he just did that with traditional animation. That's something to behold.
Yeah, I have to agree. Watching Cam in that video where he recorded himself and would make the animations match what he was doing, it was something else. Like, it looked frame to frame. All right, we have one last question for you. Just what should players expect when they finally get their hands on Hercules?
Well, 3 of my most favorite words in the MCoC lexicon, and that is big yellow numbers. But we're not just going to relegate it to yellow. It's also big red numbers and big white numbers. They're all over. And like I said earlier, from beginner to expert, there's something really great for all of them. But if you really know how to tweak your champion and do those intercepts and get those skill plays, you're going to get a very, very nice payoff at the end. Can't wait for them to see it.
All right, thank you so much for the insight, Dave. And thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, no problem, anytime. And if you want to make sure that you're up to date with all of the Hercules episodes for Summoner's Choice, check out the playlist down below. You're going to like this one.
Thanks, Dave. Hercules will be making his debut this July alongside another Marvel fan favorite, America Chavez. Here's your exclusive first look. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, we'll see you in the contest.